North Georgia. We gather here to be together because this is how we believe our lives are best lived. In curiosity and in conversation, in companionship and in love, in compassion and in service, in gratitude and in joy. It is good to be together this morning. My name is Mary Teslow, and I'm pleased to be your service leader today. This morning, our service is being created entirely from our homes, and I'm joined by Annette Watlington as our stage manager and Jude Lowry coordinating the music. The Zoom chat box is available for announcements or other sharing. For those who wish to focus on the service can close it now and check on it later. Do we have any church-related announcements? I do not see any, so that we're well informed, I hope. Please be sure to check the UUFF for opportunities to gather together, and all events use the same link. Also, we would appreciate it if you'd share feedback on the services with the worship team. We would really appreciate hearing your responses. Our fellowship is a light for liberal religion in the mountains and values diversity and the richness it brings to our community. Our celebration of diversity is reflected in the variety of our Sunday services. The title of today's service is Haiku, Spirituality in Short Form. We hope today's service enriches your journey. Our opening words are by Matsuo Basho, Japan's most celebrated haiku poet. The moon and sun are travelers through eternity. Even the years wander on, whether drifting through life on a boat or climbing toward old age leading a horse. Each day is a journey, and the journey itself is home. This morning, I brought from the fellowship this beautiful tiny chalice. Let's see if I can turn it the right way. Made by Laura Lovelace. It's absolutely gorgeous and just the right size for a Zoom service. So I'm going to light that now. Celebrates the creativity of her pottery and her craft as we celebrate creativity this morning. And there we have, whoa, there we go, our chalice lit for this morning. At this hour, in small towns and big cities, in single rooms and ornate sanctuaries, many of our sibling Unitarian Universalist congregations are also lighting a flaming chalice and celebrating our faith. As we light our chalice today, let us remember that we are part of a great community of faith around the world. This morning's Spirit of Life is from the National Chalice Lighting of Canada. So I hope you like this international edition. Jude?
I'm sorry, we're having a little sound. Are we ready for Spirit of Life?
We are indeed.
We are indeed, she says.
Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Thank you, Jude. Our offering words this morning, oh, good, yay. It's always fun to go searching for music, isn't it, Jude, and finding little treasures, that's for sure. It reminds me that I want to get a chalice for home too when I saw that. Our offering words this morning are from John Saxon. A religious community is like a river formed from many streams of our lives that meet and merge and flow to the sea. As members and friends of this fellowship, we share our time and energy, our creativity, imagination, and vision, our talents, skills, and gifts, and the streams of our individual lives to create a river that is both deep and broad. A river that is made of many streams sustains life and refreshes the land through which it flows. You are invited to give generously and joyfully as you are willing and able to make real our shared values and vision. Our song of gratitude is River Flows in You by Yeruma. Thank you. The dedication of our gifts. Gifts given in love and hope continue a cycle of love and hope. It is our pleasure this morning to welcome our own friend Brenda Mira with this morning's message, Haiku Spirituality in Short Form. Brenda has spent most of her life in New York State, north of New York City, some of it in the far north of the state. She's been a teacher, a nurse, a tent sewer, and has enjoyed much of that time in a boat. Many of her early years were spent fishing with her father in his boat. He also read children's poetry to her when tucking her into bed. Now she spends time in another boat. So it might be natural for her to be interested in small poems that document natural things. Perhaps she should write one about a boat. Welcome, welcome, Brenda. Thank you so much for offering us this message. You need to unmute, Brenda.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here, even though I haven't done this sort of thing in quite a while. But I think we're going to have a little bit of fun. It's good for the spirit to try new things, to step outside the box, and to not take ourselves too seriously. We all have something to say that has value. During this talk, I'm going to share some of my writings, and Mary has some of her writings to share with us as well. And I asked for some of Rodney's poems, but Lynn thinks that he didn't save any. And others I got from Cornell's website, which I'll tell you about later. That's Cornell University. I need you to get a piece of paper and pencil. I think you were asked to do that beforehand, but if you want to be involved in this, you need a paper and pencil. So do I need to give anybody more time? I can't see all of you, so I guess not. Okay. Just to say, if you needed another piece of paper, I usually use one out of my recycling bin because these poems are small. They don't need a lot of space. But I don't throw them back in the recycling bin. I keep them. And you should too. Last week, Eric Bannon talked with us about improvisation. He told us about its value to us, and he highly recommended that we try it. While he was speaking and singing, I lost some of what he was saying because I was struck by how well his message was going to fit into this subject. Writing haiku is a brief moment of improvisation. It doesn't matter if it's right the first time. It's okay to rewrite it, change it, see it on your desk or countertop later, scratch it out, write it in a different way. Keep all of them. They're not to be recycled anymore. Read them in a few days and go from there. I like to make small books, and I combine that with writing the small haiku in them. And I noticed that you could see that. And you can also probably see that I scratched some of it out and start over. Yes, just what I said. I write the small haiku in them. I leave them just as I wrote them. And the next pages have the revisions or the bottom of the page. None of us are perfect. Being small poems, they express just the essence of something you observe or experience, a one-time only thing, an everyday event, or an item. Haiku, like other poems, can be of the natural world just outside your window, or in your garden, or some familiar sight across the valley. Even something you find humorous. Many writers create a short haiku to express their feelings during a major event in their life. Often, though, they are about some mundane, everyday thing that you don't notice until, for some reason, you do see it. Some haiku make you laugh. Many of them connect two things that may not obviously be related. Those are the ones that cause you to nod your head, smile, and even laugh out loud, like this one. And I'm going to say each one twice, I'm not stuttering. I'm just giving you the opportunity to hear it and to grasp all the meanings. Sometimes they have multiple meanings and they are short. So I'm also going to show this to you, I think. Oh, it's backwards. Maybe not. Mini skirt. An old lady, excuse me, mini skirt. The pursed lips of an old lady. Again. Mini skirt. The pursed lips of an old lady. A mini skirt and an old lady are not usually thought of together, but they are connected here. I gotta take 1 minute. Our little wildcat has just come to the back door and appears to be listening to me. So I'll say that again. A mini skirt and an old lady are not usually thought of together, but they are connected here. Traditionally, haiku are about nature or things that happen in the natural world. But many modern ones are about other experiences or observations, such as the one I just read about the miniskirt. Being brief with your words makes you think about them. You only have a small number of words to make your point. I find that the smallness of the poem causes a clear picture in my mind. It's kind of like too many flavors in your coffee and you've lost the coffee. So identify your point and stick to it. But reworking the poem is part of it. A very good place to ease into reading haiku in small doses or enjoy it once in a while is on the website of Cornell University's Mann Library. They post one haiku a day featuring a single poet for the whole month. One recent example is Tom Clausen. He's a well-known haiku writer and published. Here's what he has to say about haiku. Haiku has consistently appealed to me as a means of centering, focusing, sharing, and responding to a life and world bent on excess. As the layers of my own life have accumulated, I've often felt overwhelmed by both personal changes and the mass of news, information, and survival requirements that come with being human today. Haiku are for me a way of honoring and celebrating simple yet profound relationships that awaken in us with a gentle and inner touch, a spiritual relevance that adds meaning to our lives. So little poems can be spiritual to some people, many people. And I'll give you the address for Mann Library during coffee hour. So now we'll read a few haiku. And I say we because Mary is going to share some of her poems with us. She's also a published author. I think there may be or have been others among us who appreciate or write haiku. I'm going to read each one twice because they are so short if you don't get them with only one reading. Also, you may notice that in some, that the first line is totally unrelated to the last line, but the middle line connects them. And the example is the mini skirt and the old lady. The middle line connected them. Her pursed lips. So here we go. These are from Mann Library. Losing its name a river enters the sea. Losing its name, a river enters the sea. You kind of have to picture that, especially picture it on a map. Brooding over world events, cicadas. Brooding over world events, cicadas. Now, that's not technically a haiku. It's something called a senryo, and maybe Mary can explain that later because I really don't know what that is and why it's different. To lead a life of such purpose, ants in a line. To lead a life of such purpose, ants in a line. Casting off all self-doubt, prize trout. A little bit of a switch there. Casting off all about self-doubt, prize trout. Halloween. The chimes ring in the house, but nobody comes. Halloween. The chimes ring in the house, but nobody comes. And these are written by Mary. And this one you'll recognize a bit. A pebble cast into a pond, and in parentheses, last ripple. A pebble cast into the pond, last ripple. The wait for news. I keep fingering a rivet on my jeans pocket. The wait for news. I keep fingering a rivet on my jeans pocket. And this one she wrote for a friend's passing, though she thinks there are many options. Her hand slips from mine forever. Her hand slips from mine forever. And this is one she wrote for the summer, last 2 summers ago now. Warm palms touch across cool glass, COVID summer. Warm palms touch across cool glass, COVID summer. And let's see, some others. Autumn evening, the concave back of an old horse. Old map, someone's fingerprint in the ocean. That's worth repeating. Old map, someone's fingerprint in the ocean. Meandering path, the trees touch each other over my head. Tugging on its rope, the rowboat docked in my dreams. Tugging on its rope, the rowboat docked in my dreams. And let's see. These two I just wrote this week, so they're not quite refined, and it's an attempt to refine them, which you do. Up, down, across, it fits me. A favorite old chair. And the other one was, the old chair fits. Comfortable. It rocks. Okay. So now about writing and structure. Haiku is usually composed of 3 lines. Some of the traditional English language poems are constructed in a 5-7-5 format. That's a syllable count. 5 syllables on the top line, the middle line has 7 syllables, and the bottom line has 5 syllables. And note, rather than saying first, second, and third, I describe them as top line, middle line, bottom line. And to me, that forms a picture in your mind of what the written result's going to look like. Short, long, short. Nice and neat looking, symmetrical. If that's how you like to see the written word or hear the spoken poem, try it that way. Sometimes it's good to start out working within traditional formats. It provides a foundation to writing, something then you don't have to think about it. Or you may feel it adds too many constraints, which can limit you or even change the idea you want to convey. So none of that's really necessary. But do try to stick to the 3 lines, or 2 if that's what you can come up with now. Also, don't judge yourself. If it doesn't sound the way you intended, just smile and move on. Write it, get the idea down before your thoughts evaporate, and you end up writing yet another poem about missed opportunities. So, to summarize, gaze out your window and improvise a few haiku, just a few words in 3 lines, a short form. I want to take a minute to thank the worship committee. This episode and all past episodes of our Sunday services are brought to us by a magnificent team. We have been experiencing their efforts firsthand, and I recommend this experience wholeheartedly to the rest of you. Speaking, that is. You've all got something to say. I know that. So think about it. And thank you.
Brenda, thank you so much for the gift of that message. Absolutely, absolutely wonderful. The Cornell site is terrific. I made some wonderful connections with folks through that. So I think we'll also include it in the UUView if folks don't see it right here, so that they can check it out. The Senryu are more human emotions, more people focused, where the haiku were more nature focused. But obviously there's some blurring in that line, but that's basically the difference between the two. In retirement, I've had fun learning about haiku. I went to a conference in Winston-Salem with Reverend Marty Keller, who's spoken for us, and it's been a real joy to do these tiny little poems. And like Brenda mentioned, I struggled to get one right. I couldn't quite get it to work out. It was sort of rejected a couple times, not sort of, actually rejected a couple times. So I realized it needed a little bit more. So I turned it into, with Dan's help, a haibun. A haibun is a little piece of prose that's then connected or integrated with a haiku. So this is the haibun that actually was successful and capturing the idea I had in mind. An autumn afternoon in the western North Carolina mountains, not far from mile marker 110 of the Appalachian Trail, waiting at the vet's office, chatting with an old gent. His dog is curled up next to him. The leash is weathered as the man's hands. My pup is playing with a chew stick. Two hikers join us with their Aussie Shepherd. After some tales from the trail, they're interested in how local mountain folks pronounce Appalachia. Not being a native, I leave it to the gent who helps them out with a tip. I'll throw an apple at you, which brings two big smiles. The conversation turns to our dogs at home. We have 3 other dogs, all rescues, 2 lab mixes and a border collie with 1 blue eye. The hikers describe the dogs they grew up with. I asked the gent about his. They're throwaways. I'm puzzled. He goes on. I live back up the mountain at the end of a long road. Folks can fall on hard times or don't pay no mind and drive up and leave their dogs. They throw them away and I give them a home. They're better off. Soon we're done. The gent heads back up the hollow and I offer the hikers a ride back to the trail. Our journeys continue. Dogs romping, cool wind in the chimes made of rabies tags. Dogs romping, cool wind in the chimes made of rabies tags. Our closing song is called Sakura, or Cherry Blossom. It is a traditional Japanese folk song that celebrates the transient beauty of the cherry blossoms as they briefly appear in the spring in a burst of color and then fade quickly. Actually, Japanese go out for viewing, cherry blossom viewing time as this at that festival time. This arrangement features the traditional Japanese instruments of the koto, which is a harp, the shamisen, which is a guitar, and the shakuhachi, which is a flute. Thank you, Jude. As we extinguish the chalice, may the spark of creativity continue to burn for each of us. May we all take the time to fully immerse ourselves in our creative potential, no matter the medium. May we all rekindle, may we all be reminded that the process matters, not just the final outcome. When we are all together, we circle our round sanctuary and join hands for our closing circle and covenant. For now, we will join together in spirit as we recite our covenant together. Annette, can we unmute everybody so we can do it together? We'll see, or everyone can unmute themselves if they like to do that and say it along with us.
Yeah, go right ahead. Unmute yourself if you wish.
Okay, great. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and community is its goal. This is our
This is
great
our great
covenant. To dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Yay, so may it be. Good. Yay. Wonderful.
Who's that man
Echoes
next to
galore.
Brenda? The square next to Brenda. Do you know who that is?